Welcome to a new edition of the Neon Jazz interview series with Canadian jazz trumpeter Jonathan Bauer. This multi-talented trumpeter and composer of the Grammy award-winning New Orleans Jazz Orchestra bursts onto the scene with a very highly anticipated debut album called Walk, Don't Run. This will be officially released on April 5, 2019. While earning his master's at the University of New Orleans, this Canadian-born cat quickly became a rising talent in one of the world's most important musical communities, earning him the opportunity to study and perform with legends like Nicholas Payton, Robert Glasper, and so many others. So please get to know him and dig this interview, my friends.
Jonathan, thank you for taking a minute out for Neon Jazz. I appreciate it.
Not at all. Looking forward to it.
So talk to me about this new album coming out. It'll be released on the 5th of April called Walk, Don't Run. Give me an idea of what the artistic forces were that went into this project.
I've been doing a lot of writing. I've been in New Orleans now for about 5 years. Things just kind of move a little slower here. But we're on our own specific timelines, and nothing seems to move here the way that it does in the rest of the country. At first, I kind of had a lot of trouble with that. You know, when I first moved here, I kind of needed everything to happen right there and then. Somewhere along the way, I kind of learned that if you're just diligent and take your time, it'll all come. And that was kind of where the concept of walk, don't run came from. There's no need to rush to get anywhere. You know, I'll continue to receive my space in this community based on the level of my art. A lot of the songs kind of focus around a similar concept, which is it's about taking your time. It's about enjoying the moments when they're happening instead of, rushing past them and thinking about them later. And most importantly to me, it's about paying respects to the ancestors of this music, recognizing where this music came from before reinventing the wheel.
So speaking of where you came from, you came from Canada.
I do come from Canada.
Talk to me a little bit about your childhood and how you got into jazz and playing music.
I've had people tell me that I confuse them because I was born in a small city in the northernmost part of Alberta called Fort McMurray. Yeah, there's not a lot of jazz from Fort McMurray, if any. I've had people say to me, I have no idea how you kind of convinced yourself that you were supposed to do this. For me, there was never a question of it, I never thought once about where I was from or where I was going. I just knew that this was something that I had to do. I just came up in the band program in Fort McMurray, and fortunately, I was introduced to some strong and inspirational teachers, a trumpet player from Edmonton named Joel Gray, my high school band teacher, Brent Lawson. There's a saxophone player at the local community college there named Bill Prouton. And it was Bill that said to me, he denies this. He said to me, you should think about going to Vancouver Island University in Nanaimo. They're taking not-so-great musicians and pushing out some pretty good musicians. That was it. My sights were set on it. Yeah, then I just hit the practice room, and I kind of clawed tooth and nail to make sure that when there was some sort of heap to be a part of, that I'd find myself near the top of it.
Right on. So what jazz musicians or albums were you listening to in the beginning that got you going?
I was listening to a lot of Canadian musicians. There's not a lot of people in Fort McMurray when I was growing up that had an incredible amount of knowledge of who I should listen to. So I was pointed in some directions. I had a copy of Chet Baker Sing. That was a big one for me. But most of the records I had were because adjudicators, jazz musicians from around Canada would come to the community college in my hometown, and they'd give concerts, and I'd buy their CDs. So I had a copy of Mike Downs' Winds of Change. I probably listened to about 1,000 times. Jody Prosnick. I had a copy of Jody's Foundations. There's a song on there called Arby's Line that really kind of made me go, whoa, what is this? And I had Bill pointed out to me, he said, well, that's bebop. And I went, well, what's bebop? So it was a strong foundation of Canadian musicians that really kind of pushed me in this direction of this music.
What brought you to New Orleans? What kind of brought you into this new place that you're at right now in your career?
I, like a lot of musicians, had plans with some other young friends of mine that we were going to finish our schooling on the island, and we were going to collectively move to New York and get a, get the biggest apartment we could afford together, which wouldn't have been much, and just stay there until we were either out of money or we had something to keep us there. Then there was actually a field school there was the university offered us 6 credits to go to New Orleans for a few weeks and participate in this cultural exchange with the tourism students. And I don't know, I stepped off the plane and I was at MSY. I was at the Louis Armstrong International Airport, and pretty instantly I was like, never mind. This is where I'm supposed to be. Gotcha. So I spent, the next year figuring out how to be here legally, and then I came here to do my master's, and then I just never left.
So are you happy with where your career is at right now?
I'm thrilled. I'm thrilled with where my career is at right now. New Orleans has definitely had a lot to do with that. This is I live in a city right now where I found myself not just in the company of, but on the stage with arguably all of my favorite trumpet players, from Nicholas Payton to Christian Scott, and even Inger Jensen when she was in town. It's a beautiful space where there's just enough opportunity for you to really focus on what you're doing, allow your career to thrive. I guess the short of the long is, I'm very happy, and I'm excited to be kind of going out on my own now and focusing on myself more as a leader than I have been the past half decade as a sideman.
Why do you love jazz?
This for me, my love of jazz stems a lot from the history of it. This music has historically been, a voice for the voiceless. It's always reflected what's been going on socially and politically during its time. Jazz, or whatever word you choose to describe it, this music has always kind of held a mirror up against the world that we live in, and allowed you to expose it for what it is. And, for me, it's where I'm happiest,
Yeah, without a doubt. So it's all going to come down to this. Everyone has a version or interpretation of you, your family, your friends, your fans, but you know who you are best. Who do you think you are?
I'm Jonathan Bauer.
Nice.
I'm a lot of things, It took me a while to realize that, but I'm a lot of things. I'm not just a trumpet player or a composer. I'm a friend, and I'm a partner, and I'm a son. I'm a long list of things. I'm a member of a community that's important to me. I'm part of a family. They're important to me. Music has always just been one of an infinite number of things that I am, but I don't really know how else to describe it as that. I'm just trying to be who I am, and I'm just trying to be as respectful to this music as I can be.
Cool. I like it. That's a great answer. Hey, man, thank you for taking some time out to talk about the new album and talk about your life in music. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you. I hope you have a great day.
Thanks for listening and tuning in to yet another Neon Jazz interview, where we give you a bit of insight into the finest players in New Orleans, Canada, Kansas City, and spots all over the world, giving fans all that jazz. And thanks to Jonathan for his time and his music. If you want to hear more interviews, go to Famous Interviews with Joe Domino on the iTunes Store. Visit neonjazz at youtube.com for everything Neon Jazz. Go to the neonjazz.blogspot.com. Until next time, enjoy the jazz, my friends.
Neon Jazz.